And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone and Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today, we've got plenty of FCS action that we're going to be recapping. A couple of crazy upsets that were unexpected that shake up the top 25, but not really the top 10. All that coming up and more. Before we get there, Sean, quick word from BetOnline.
BetOnline, it's where you want to go to get all the best odds for the sports. You can't go to BetOnline to buy a big, boxy, brandless sweatshirt. But at BetOnline, you can find...
Says a guy wearing a stretched out brandless long sleeve.
Oh, a 1XLT polo long sleeve? Yeah.
That's a 1XL?
1XL tall. Polo sizing systems, they're insane. Like this should be like a 4X, but it's listed as 1XLT.
They're very inconsistent. Okay.
BetOnline has the easy... Yeah. You can't just roll through a read without getting interjected. I'm trying to tell people.
Shot at me and
I am trying to make the reads a little lively. But BetOnline, if we want to get to the nitty gritty with it, they got the earliest odds to in-game live betting. BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. They have the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL, to entertainment and political props. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.
We've got a ton to get to, so it's going to be a water cooler heavy episode today. We're recording this late on a Sunday. We're changing our recording time, so you get the show earlier. But the quality, it might be worse.
Will it be better? We'll see.
We're going to find out at the end of this. We've got a lot of headlines that we don't want to get to, so we're focusing on the headlines on today's show, which might be the case for the remaining weeks of this season. The first being Western Carolina. Huge game, big win to re-enter the playoff conversation, 38-34. Cole Gonzalez, though, goes down with an injury. Was getting updates from Heath, who was DMing me to let me know the injury situation. Appreciate for keying us in. Didn't message you because you hate him.
He was just clogging up my timeline with other WCU fans. That was nice.
Taron Dickens threw 5 touchdown passes coming in, and he had the 8-yard go-ahead touchdown to DeAndre Tamarez in the fourth quarter that helped them take that 38-34 lead. Tamarez had 3 touchdown catches on the game, and he had a big performance here that helped the Wildcats get the victory. Chattanooga, though, only had 9 plays the rest of this game in the second half. Their final possession ended with an interception in the final minute that closed things out.
Yeah, the Cole Gonzalez injury hurts because he is a legit top-tier FCS quarterback. However you feel about Western Carolina, you have to admit that they're playing in a good conference, and he has been dicing it up. And to lose that guy who he plays very gritty, he's got the great attitude that you want from a quarterback, where he plays with juice, he's got a good arm, and to lose him is tough. But I'm still kind of in on Western Carolina, even with him down. Beating Chattanooga is huge. Chattanooga's good. They're a good team, and you still beat them. This team is not out. They still have life. Have them on my rankings still. I think I even had them rising. I know it's crazy, and people want to probably overreact, but no, I think Western Carolina still has a good squad that they're going to be rolling out with.
Western Carolina right now at a 5-4 record is a half game behind Mercer in the SoCon standing. So there is room. They have the advantage over Chattanooga, who's also 5-4 with a 4-2 record in conference. Still plenty of time left for this year. It's going to be a little tricky for them to try and push out Mercer for that top spot. Could maybe be one of the last teams that gets in. Rhode Island, our Rhodey Rams, they remain undefeated in FCS play. 37-28 victory over Monmouth, who for some reason Sean loved and said was amazing. Instead, Rhodey gets the dub at home. Devin Farrell throws for 265, 3 touchdowns, and 2 scores went to Marcus Buchanan. Strong victory for the Rams. Close your mouth. Why are you looking at me?
They have Monmouth has like a top 10 FCS passing yards leader, and Stone Ento has 20 touchdowns on the year.
Cool.
Oh, that is cool. A running back with 20
rankable.
touchdowns? That's pretty good. Give me a break. They're
They gave
respectable.
him 37 points.
Yeah, I know they did. Rhode Island, it was chippy in the first half. This guy Devin Farrell could play some quarterback. He's pretty good, and he's gotten better throughout the season. Earlier in the year, you're sitting here, all right, we got some jump balls, we got some good, tall, speedy wide receivers that I think helped him out a lot. But he's got a real connection with Marquise Buchanan, who is just Mr. Clutch for this Rhode Island team. I think multiple times this year he's had the game-sealing touchdown or the real dagger for other teams. He's legit. It's a good team. Rhode Island's defense has been good. Keeping Monmouth to 28 points is good. That's a good, strong performance against a good offense. So I think, not to bury the lead before it all comes out, I think I have Rhode Island in the top 10 this week.
I moved them up.
They deserve it. They really legitimately
when
deserve
you're undefeated in FCS play, they are, and there's North Dakota fumbling away and Central Arkansas lose it, which we're going to get to, spoiler. There's now room for, at the back end of that top 10, for them to be in there. They're the best CAA team. The best CAA team should realistically be a top 10 team. So it's deserved at this point. Sean, I got the hilarious score of the week. I just threw this in there because this caught my attention when I was perusing outcomes from this past week. Robert Morris won an absolute barn burner shootout. I mean, this is the offensive, prolific offense that was producing this game against Merrimack, 6-0. Absolute ridiculous performance here.
And Nagy, send the scouts, man. Get them ready.
Honestly, there was Chickett, who's their starting quarterback, had a deep pass on the left sideline, and Sean Charles outran the defense for an 82-yard touchdown, was the lone score of the game on a 99-yard drive with 4:54 left in the third quarter. The point after attempt was blocked, of course. So the offensive proficiency wasn't enough to get that full 7, but it got him a nice 6. Not your typical 2 field goals. This is important to bring up, though. The top spot for the NEC is on the line as Robert Morris is going to be facing off with Duquesne this coming week, fighting for that opportunity to make the playoff.
You know what? You said it shouldn't be taken as a joke the way that you just said that. But Duquesne is by far and away the best team in the NEC.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they should
it's not
punch them.
I'm sitting here like, you know what? They technically are competing for the conference, but Duquesne is just heads better than them. They're a good team. They have a good offense. And Robert Morris, you kind of got to beat Merrimack by more than 6 and have more than just 6 points.
You should have just finished your point, and we should have moved on to the next game by you just going, just go to the next game. We don't need any more thoughts on that except for the groan that you just let out. Here's one of the most unexpected early upsets that happened this week. Indiana State, which has just been over the past few years, been really mediocre. Mm-hmm. They get a win over North Dakota, 35-31. North Dakota falls to 5-4, 2-3 in conference. I have them on the very back end of my top 25 just because there's not a lot of other teams worthy of really putting in there. I bumped out a couple other teams. They're hanging on by an absolute thread. If they lose another one, they're obviously blatantly done. They're not out of the playoff picture completely, but they're probably at a very, very slim single-digit chance at this point.
This is a hideous loss. I moved them way down on my top 25. They have a good enough team where I can say this has a top 25 roster, and this is a team that I know has a quarterback in Simon Ramfo that can lead them to winning games. So his first quarter pick 6, atrocious, and this loss is atrocious. Shades of Sac State, where there was a lot of expectation and a lot of early season buzz about them, and it was vindicated a lot throughout the early season, and we saw big numbers and good defense and good running backs and Bo Belquist converting tons of third downs, and you lost to Indiana State. You lost to the Sycamores. You can't do that. You just, at this point in the season, you just need to be better. You need to start finding your stride. You need to have an identity to lean on to beat an Indiana State if you have the prowess that North Dakota should have. This was a top 10 team for like 5-6 weeks. They were in the top 10 heartily And now it's just a disaster.
They beat Montana. Was when we were all super hyped up on them, and they had a really good game against Iowa State where they only lost by 18, which is a really highly ranked good Iowa State
They play
team.
good.
And then they hung 72 on Murray State, which was obviously not much of an accomplishment. What?
Drinking water. I didn't know you were bringing up the Murray State.
Well, okay, when you score 72 points on any team that's not a Division II program, which we got a thought to bring up later at the very end of this list of scores, they have really completely tumbled. And for me, it all kind of comes down to their defense has not played nearly as good as their offense has been able to produce.
Yeah, a team that can beat Montana at any point in the season this year should beat Indiana State. Like that, I am going to absolutely transitive property that thing. There is no excuse. I will.
I hate that you did that. Dartmouth, their win streak snapped. They were a undefeated darling for a little bit of time, but now the Ivy League is up for grabs. This is not important for this season, but for the future, if anyone missed it, apparently the Ivy League is pushing to be eligible for the playoffs, which the playoffs should try to make that happen because we need more good quality football programs that are eligible to compete in the playoff, as there's not as many good competitive rosters in the back end of FCS football as there used to be. But Dartmouth, their streak snapped 31-27 against Harvard. Charles DePrima, 3 touchdowns. Harvard's now 6-1, 3-1 in conference. And this all comes together as DePrima pulled Harvard within 27-24 with 5:59 remaining in the fourth quarter after capping a 14-play, 94-yard drive with a 6-yard touchdown run. Dartmouth went 3 and out. Harvard chewed up 3 minutes, 32 seconds. That just completely ended the game.
Yeah, this was a good battle. Harvard and Dartmouth have been the two best teams in the Ivy League this year. I think I had the edge going to Harvard. I think that their run game is better. Dartmouth has been solid, but now it's their conference to lose. They have the tiebreaker, and then they can go celebrate however they celebrate at the end of the year, not including a possible jinx or kiss of death from Hack City, as we are known to do.
Montana State handled EWU 42-28. I think and somebody actually commented this, so this isn't me patting ourselves in the back. We summed this up essentially in the preview that EWU might have a little bit of juice and their offense might have a little bit of firepower, but Montana State is playing to their truest capability, that this is not going to be the obstacle that steps up in their way.
Yeah, this could have been, if we both took guesses at the final score of this one, I think one of us would have chosen maybe a 42-28. I could see EWU scoring 28, and that's really actually
a hilarious way of putting it, that we probably could have guessed the score. Yeah. It's like probably one of the most guessable scores.
It's actually
FCS football.
A subpar performance for this defense so far over the year for Montana State, but I'm not knocking that. Eastern Washington has the offense, and they want to get you in a shootout, but Montana State is better than you this year. They're better than a lot of teams, and they're going to clamp down, and they're going to run out the clock. I know Malott had an insane game. I think I'm going to be getting to that in fat stats in a moment. They're just a better team than you.
Abilene Christian strong season survives another week as they eked out a close one, 28-25 over Southern Utah. I feel like ACU's still been a little bit tricky to track because they're like, what really nice premier tough battles do they have on their resume? Like the close win like this, like, yeah, you won the football game, but it's not super sexy that you're just getting by against a team like Southern Utah.
Yeah, the UAC, the top teams have been dying to give one up recently, and we'll get to the other two. Abilene Christian, I'm sure, has been just skating by. They had a bad loss earlier in the year, and they've just been trying to stay afloat, keep me on top of the conference. One of these other two teams is going to drop, and they did, and you know what? Good for them for staying above water. But I just have fear. You have to be better. You have to start winning games with more style down the stretch. I know that it's football and it's November now and the bodies are aching. I know that it's hard to get up for that Tuesday practice, and it's hard to keep going to treatment to try to be fresh for that Saturday game, knowing you have more coming after this. But goodness gracious, if you have a good team, dig deep. You have a good team. You have a good quarterback. You have a really good offense. Make it exciting. Don't just start dropping them because you can. Make it exciting and try to catch fire.
North Dakota State and South Dakota State completely walloped their opponents. UNI for North Dakota State 42-19, and then South Dakota State 52-6. Angel Johnson had 132 yards on the ground. That was over Murray State and a touchdown. Amar Johnson also had a rushing and receiving touchdown for the Jackrabbits. If anyone was if I told you that a team won by almost 50 points, you could probably guess it was Murray State.
Yeah, sorry about that, Racers. I didn't even put this note in. I was cutting them a break, but Joe stayed on top of it in the doc and felt the need to bring that one up. That's what really good teams do. That's what top 3 teams do. They blow out the teams that they can blow out. I know it's been a down year for UNI.
Down year for Murray State.
Yeah, Murray State's had a tough go of it. I think we're looking at the banquet. Let's start thinking about the chicken legs.
That banquet's going to bang. That's going to be an amazing banquet. Wait, here. Okay, here is some context on how they've done so far this year. This wasn't one of their worst losses. Missouri 51-0. Butler 19-17, respectably close. Somehow they hung it on Mississippi Valley State 59-8. But then here comes just the reign of just slop. 72-35 against North Dakota, 59-0 versus South Dakota, 31-27 against who the hell, Indiana State, 40-32 against Illinois State, and then 59-6 against North Dakota State, 52-6 versus South Dakota State.
You know what? I didn't catch that. Could you tell me that score against North Dakota one more time?
The North Dakota score?
Yeah, the North Dakota score. I didn't catch that.
Is it the third time I brought it up?
No. Like, how many points did
72.
No. How many points did Murray State score?
35.
We should have known then. We should have known right then and there that North Dakota was frauds, giving up 35 points
that's
to Murray State. Yeah, because South Dakota blow them out, no points scored. North Dakota State giving up 6, and South Dakota State giving up 6. Who's the black sheep there? That's the odd man out sitting there that's letting Murray State put 35 up. Oh, the frauds that just lost to Indiana State. We should have known then. That is incredible. Murray State's the litmus test.
Mercer, though, this was a really important game that we previewed, has a ton of importance for the playoff outlook. I was laughing at ETSU who posted, I think it was ETSU who posted like the quarter graphic when they were up. And they added like a 0-3 to the score. And it just seemed very aggressive to point out that they only allowed 3 points. I think it was at halftime, but they go on to lose 37-31. Braden Manley had a recovered fumble in the end zone. Marcus Thomas had a 25-yard pick six. And Mick Wasson had a blocked punt return 20 yards for a touchdown. So this was special teams and defense, like we know that Mercer can do against top teams in the SoCon. They, again, continue to rule the top of that conference.
Yeah, that's a huge win. ETSU, they put their heart and soul into this game, and that is a big-time win for Mercer to not back down when that team is really coming at you. I know that there was some disgruntlement from head coach Trey Lamb about an onside kick at the end of the game where it was offside. I believe there was a called offsides for ETSU on initial recovery of an onside kick. And Coach Lamb not only posted a screenshot of ETSU being apparently onsides, but he started pulling DV Sport tape and posting that as well.
No, so
Coach is feeling a certain type of way, and he's sticking up for his team. I kind of appreciate it. And I'm looking back at it. That's a judgment call by the ref there, right on that line. That's a tough angle to make that decision. And that's a huge deciding play in this one, because you had, I think, 45 seconds left to go down and try to get another touchdown. You probably don't against Mercer, but who am I to say if you already put up 31 points on them? So this one was not without drama at the end of it, but overwhelmingly, it'll be remembered as a big-time Mercer win.
Yeah, big victory as they were trying to get their feet back underneath them after the loss they suffered a couple of weeks ago. Central Arkansas, though, suffered a loss, and this is another weird-ass score. They gave up 34 points to Utah Tech. I guess the state of Utah was on fire at the FCS level this week with the performances they were putting up. 34 points on this Central Arkansas defense feels really weird. Central Arkansas has lost a lot of grace that we gave them early on, hyping them up, saying their defense was one of the best in the country, and it seems like that was a lie that we told ourselves.
Central Arkansas has been dying to give one up lately. They get by 1 point against West Georgia. They barely beat North Alabama by 5 points, and now the levee breaks, and they lose to Utah Tech. So I know you've been itching to get one out of your system and lose one. I know you've been ready to do it. I didn't think it was going to happen to Utah Tech particularly, maybe EKU next week. But you know what? It's still a fine resume. I still think they're a good team. It's just a bad week. It's a bad week for that conference. They're just trying to lose games down the stretch. You have ACU right in front of you. Stay there. Keep on chasing. Keep on going after them. Nope, you got to drop one when they get away and they squeak by. It's going to be an interesting way how it shakes out to see if Abilene Christian decides to piss down their legs at all. But Central Arkansas, you just got to get back up on that horse and try to make something happen.
Well, another team that pissed down their legs, Tarleton, lost to EKU 17-13. Like, what is going on here with these purple teams, man?
UAC had a bad week. Purple, it was
bad week to be purple. Bad that it's got nothing to do with nothing else. It's just a bad week to be purple. Lost to EKU. I really thought that this was going to be the year for Tarleton, as you know, they moved up and there was all this trajectory and they were having a really strong season and they put together a couple big wins. The resume is not bad, but what the hell are you doing goofing around with EKU?
Can't happen.
Also, so much for them having such a good offense. Like, I feel like we've talked a number of times about their offense being pretty productive, and they only put together 14 against DKU.
Yeah, they were. You know what? I was getting comfortable with them, and I think a lot of people were, because they had a really good start to the season, and they weren't doing anything goofy, right? Like, they weren't sitting there making you doubt their ranking position, but
right.
At some point, you're hoping that these teams are on that B to B plus level on the polls. We're waiting to see them take a jump. You're waiting to see if they can crack that top 10, or if they're even if the top 10 is loaded. I'm waiting to see if they have the caliber to crack that, crack the top 10. That's what I'm looking for. And they didn't give me enough throughout the season. So that's tough. That's a drop. I can't sit here and say, oh, that's a goofy loss. I just can't do it. That's going to be a big drop for Tarleton. 13 points against EKU can't happen.
Victor Gabalis had 3 picks in this game, which is just a brutal backbreaker. Their playoff destiny is in their hands the most, it feels like, because they've got ACU coming up on the 16th, and then they get Central Arkansas at home on the 23rd. So interesting final stretch there for Tarleton. UT Martin got a pretty good win over a ranked Tennessee State team. I dropped Tennessee State. I put UT Martin up a little bit higher after the outcome of this game, 28-21. A strong victory for UT Martin.
I've had UT Martin floating around the 20s so far. It felt right for them.
They've been a quietly good team this year.
But they've been chipping away. And if that's the level they're at, just keep on doing that, and you're going to start rising. You're going to keep on doing it. Tennessee State, not a slouch, not something you could just sneeze at. It's a good win. UT Martin has a good ball club, and I you know, from going to just seeing them on the RV section of the email to now starting to see them with the actual number next to them is good. They're deserving of that.
I hate that RV. It should not exist. Well, for when we get the email from Craig, the receiving votes is important. But I've yelled enough about schedules that have RV on it. Take it off. It doesn't count as a ranked win. Stop pretending it's a ranked win or a ranked opponent. It's not.
Yeah, it's just a little RV.
Speaking of fake games, West Georgia, which I still don't know what the hell they are, man. I don't know what they got going on. It was one of those teams where it's just kind of like, oh, they moved up. Cool. Go ahead. See what happens. 88 points on, I like how the way you put this into the notes. Independent traveling team, Lincoln University in Oakland, California. What does independent traveling team mean?
It means that they don't have a conference, and they're one of these teams that just floats around and plays other teams.
West Georgia, stop scheduling Lincoln University.
Lincoln University of Oakland.
Is there more? One Lincoln University?
I think so. I couldn't. Here's the thing. I wanted to go down that rabbit hole so badly, but I just couldn't, because then I would just start getting angrier and angrier.
Yeah, there's a Lincoln University in Missouri.
Yeah, I couldn't do
Lincoln
it.
University in Pennsylvania.
Do you hear how he's already gritting his teeth? Like we're already getting to this point. 88 points, though. I mean, that's kind of respectable. That means you got some life. Good God. That's like it's a charter school. You're basically playing a charter football program, not knocking anybody that's trying to play football at the next level. I respect it. It's fine. I always have love for people that do that. But maybe when you hit 60 against that team, you start putting in the third stringers and you start actually getting some people some burn. You don't need to score 88 against them. If you're playing a conference opponent, sure. You really want to set the tone? Go ahead.
These graphics suck on this Lincoln University website.
Hey, there's a nice little no drop shadows. It's just
why is there no Why is he like a ghost in the background on that one? Like, you see what I'm talking about? Like, they lower the opacity, and he's kind of just like he's just kind of like floating into the distance.
Is it the offensive line at a miniature scale underneath them?
Yeah,
I don't like that. Make them big behind.
A lot going on here. Oh, I'm afraid to.
You know what? I'm seeing the gentleman in that photo or in that video.
LU prospective athletes. Oh no, there's no way that they faced off with these kids.
Hey, that's not a bad edited video.
Well, I want to pull up their schedule really quickly before we move on here to Fat Stats. They're getting really distracted. They played the College of Idaho, Northern Arizona, Southern Oregon, Missouri State. They don't even have the listed results of the schedule. Hold on. They have a website, but they don't have listed results. They have a singular graphic that they put. Okay, all right.
That's how Lincoln does it.
Go to Fat Stats.
That's how we do it.
Go to Fat Stats.
I told you.
Please go to Fat Stats.
It's a brutal rabbit hole. All right, Fat Stats. Let's get it kicked off.
Community college.
2K. Come on. 2K running back Jamario Clements.
It's like when you look up these old 1910 schedules and you find out that the University of Southern California played Doctors of Beverly Hills. And like, what does that mean? Did you just find a group of doctors and you played against them? Dentist of Glendale. Okay. I keep going to Fat Stats. I need to look more up.
That's when people really loved football, and I would say nobody loves football. There's no player on any of the teams that we've mentioned, and even any of these players that are on Fat Stats love football than the 53rd man on that Lincoln University team. They couldn't, because you're playing at Lincoln University of Oakland. All right, Fat Stats. Duquesne running back Jamario Clements, 15 carries, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. Howard quarterback Jashawn Scroggins, great name, 24 for 41, 304 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns through the air, carried the rock 8 times for 60 yards, and another tud. URI wide receiver Marquise Buchanan, 12 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns against the formidable Monmouth. Elon wide receiver Chandler Brayboy, 8 catches, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 13 rushing yards as they decimated Campbell. Western Carolina quarterback Teron Dickens, 34 for 48, 431 yards, 5 touchdowns. He threw a pick, but he ran the ball for 41 yards also. Eastern Illinois quarterback Pierce Holly, 19 for 27, 338 and 5 tuds. Southern Utah running back Tarji Lamson keeps on making the list. You know why, Joe? Because he keeps on getting fat with it. 27 carries, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns. Montana State quarterback Tommy Malott, 13 for 20, 181 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. He threw a pick. Maybe we'll ding him. Oh, no, he carried the ball 6 times for 125 yards and another touchdown. San Diego wide receiver Jaseem Reed, 14 catches, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns. Austin P wide receiver Jaden Barnd, 12 catches, 241 yards, 3 touchdowns. Lastly, but not leastly, Portland State quarterback Dante Chichiri, 14 for 27, 245 yards, a touchdown. He ran the ball 14 times for 165 yards and 4 touchdowns.
I'm sorry, I went down a big rabbit hole. My pick for I have something to share in a quick second before that I've found about Lincoln University. This is important. We're doing investigative journalism on this show. Scroggins was the guy though that caught my ear when I was listening to you at the beginning, and then I started to get really distracted.
Okay, gotcha. So congrats to Scroggins for Joe's vote. I'm going with Jaden Barnd, 241 yards receiving. That's pretty fat.
It should be illegal that West Georgia played this team. This is a quote from the article. We're like sacrificial lambs, basically, said Edom Ulanson, a long snapper who spent the past 2 seasons on the football team. Other players told USA Today Sports that they dealt with behind the scenes, practices without a certified athletic trainer, inadequate equipment, players on food stamps, unexpected financial commitments, a scarcity of water, and overcrowded housing that left players sleeping in living rooms, and at least one case, the kitchen of an apartment unit. It's being likened to Bishop Sycamore, basically.
First of all, you got the long snapper talking to media. What are we doing? You can't get to it.
The more I scroll through this, the worse it gets. University President Mikhail Brodsky, meanwhile, said he is proud of the football team, and despite the allegations outlined, he said he has no plans to shut it down. You know this Chinese proverb, if you're riding on a tiger, you cannot stop. You stop, tiger eats you. Brodsky explained, we're riding a tiger. It's true. We can't stop. What?
Hey, get an athletic trainer on the field. Holy hell. Are we sitting here? We got coaches that are mending rolled ankles. Is that what we got going? These guys are playing in buckets. Literally, all the bucket memes. There's no flex. There's no way there's a Vici's helmet there. They're oh my God.
Wait, Gary Payton is the men's basketball coach? Okay, there's too much. There's too much there. This looks like I pulled up an article in another dimension. This doesn't seem real.
This is an article that you would read in a dream, and then you'd wake up and you'd be like, "What are we talking about?
Am I alive right now?" A question that I ask myself every single day. We'll talk to you folks later. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for myself. I'm praying for Lincoln University. Maybe they'll be the next big FCS team.
What's their mascot? Hold on. What's their mascot?
Oh my God. The Lincoln University Slappies? Like, I don't know.
Oh, come on.
I don't know if they got one. Wait, I don't know if they have one.
How could they not?
Their motto is learn more, earn more, much more, great success. This gets okay. I'm not gonna go look up their mascot. Go to bed. Everybody just give up on the day. I don't care what time you're listening to this. Don't look up Lincoln University. You will ruin your night. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. I'm gonna go put my head down for a little bit.